Hello and welcome to the News by Standards. They were called lunatics and imbeciles, idiots. The terms dementia or schizophrenia weren't known. Psychiatry was an infant science. In a Somerset town, a small group of volunteers are slowly and sensitively revealing the stories of those who lived at the Somerset and Bath Pauper Lunatic Asylum. Patients who were put in there were dirt poor, said Claire Blackmore, one of the volunteers. They had nothing, there were quite a few children in there. It often says in their notes the mother cannot cope anymore. The asylum opened in South Horrington, near Wells in 1848, initially caring for 300 patients. It admitted patients from Somerset and Bristol and was later known as the Mendip Hospital before the building closed in 1991. It was run by Dr. Robert Boyd when it opened. He believed in the moral treatment of the insane. He believed in kindness, care, exercise, good nutrition, and a bed to sleep in. He would feed the patients up. They would learn occupations, have music therapy, entertainment. He said if they could improve the physical, the mental condition would improve too. Land close to the asylum was set aside for the burial of patients and a chapel was created on the site. Around 2,900 burials took place there, but when the asylum closed, the cemetery was abandoned. It became overgrown and was earmarked for housing, but a campaign by the community in Wells led to the site being saved, with volunteers restoring the land as a nature reserve. As the patients were paupers, there were no headstones. Instead, each grave was given an iron marker with a number to identify the person buried in the plot. Many of the original markers have been uprooted and now lie in clusters around the cemetery, but the volunteers are planning to identify where each patient is buried and install a plaque to remember them individually. We've got the records for everyone who is buried here, said Peter Jaggard, who chairs the volunteer group. They tell us who they are, their next of kin, their occupation, their description from the hospital records. We're compiling a database and people can come and find their relatives or read about the working classes of the 19th century. Those people were well cared for. It wasn't called asylum for nothing. People think, oh, lunatic asylum, bad place. But people seek asylum. It was for people to be looked after. For decades, the lives of many asylum seekers, residents, were effectively forgotten. Their notes have remained hidden from view in the archives at the Somerset Heritage Centre, but are now being transcribed for the first time. Casey Redden said she often feels emotional as she goes through archives to research the lives of patients. I've been particularly affected by a little boy called Joseph Ty, who went in when he was 10 and ended up dying in there. I love him so much. He's buried here. I talk to him quite often. I talk to all of them. It has been so emotional. To see people either improve and go on to a better life or see people go downhill, it's an emotional journey, added Miss Redden. The group has received inquiries about ancestors from people living in America, Australia and Germany, as well as closer to home. Miss Blackmore said at one of the group's recent exhibitions, one lady had seen a picture of her great-grandmother for the first time. One lady cried. She said she had to leave for a while to collect her thoughts. I love this place. When we say welcome to the cemetery to visitors, it is not something you'd usually say to people, but we're proud. We're proud of the work that's been done by just volunteers and the passion and research which has gone into it. It's a special, unique place, she added. The cemetery opens to the public on Sundays and Wednesdays from the beginning of April.